Okay, good morning folks. Hope you all had a good weekend. Just a quick sound check, make sure we're coming through okay. Just, well, easy. Okay, just someone give me a thumbs up, let me know we're coming through. Apollo, good morning. Big Dave. Good stuff. Okay, in for an interesting week, I feel. And it's all going to kick off at the end of the week, or midweek, I should say, Wednesday and Thursday. So you've all got your minds on that. Basically, on Thursday, we've got the UK election. We've got Comey speaking, and we've also got the ECB. So that's the Super Thursday, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're all gearing up for, and it's all different markets are going to be affected that individually. Of course, you've got the dollar with Comey, you've got British pound, you've got the ECB. It's all very exciting stuff going on this week. And at the moment, dollar is still the pressurized currency, just putting up the strength meter here. And if you look where we are on the US dollar, it's red across the all time frames. It's the weaker currency on the heels of the numbers last week. Pretty weak numbers. I mean, we're still on track, I think, for the hike in June, but the markets are clearly now testing whether we're going to, or asking a question of what are we going to see the two hikes for the year. Are they going to miss the forward guidance like they did last year? Last year they penciled in 4 hikes and 3 in 1, and you know, the data showing at the moment reasonably on the softer side. So the market is definitely looking at that at the moment. I'm just putting up the dollar index. Okay, we've had this gradient area for a while. If you've been following me, if you're new, then this is basically the area of consolidation that we've been sort of penciling in. It's basically the Trump candle. Takes you back down to 95.80. So it's still about 100 points away. If you look what happened on Friday. Okay, so we had some pretty weak numbers out of non-farm payroll employment numbers. This is this big candle here to the upside, making a move, pushing back up at the moment. I don't think this is going to necessarily have the full retracement back to the highs of before the announcement. So I'm looking to take dollar shorts as we get into this area possible of resistance to the upside. Now, I don't trade the dollar index per se, but certainly as the dollar index gets back up to 97 area, I'll be looking at dollar pairs, particularly dollar yen maybe, and the euro dollar if we do get back up there at the moment. But this is the level, taking a 50% level of this move to the downside from where we were. The level I think that you could hold the dollar index comes in at basically 97, 86, 90 to 90 area. So this is the level of possible target and resistance to the upside. Now, the way I like to play the dollar weakness, and I think that's the way I'm sort of angling myself this week, last week, and I still haven't moved my allegiance away from weakening Australian dollar. We did have some reasonable strong numbers in terms of corporate profits over the last few hours, which has put a bit of a bid under the Aussie dollar. But of course, that's all pretty muted stuff ahead of the RBA announcement in a few hours' time, in about 20 hours' time or so. So we're not going to get too excited about the Aussie strength at the moment ahead of that. So I'm looking still at Aussie weakness, taking that RBA sort of in the forefront of my mind, but playing markets possibly from dollar weakness. Now, I haven't got any trades on from this morning. I've got some trades from overnight, still long euro pound and short Aussie yen, but I haven't taken any trades this morning. So I'm going to wait to see how we pan out for the next couple of hours, see what really does happen with the dollar. But what I've got my eyes on is the dollar yen. Okay, so if we grind back up, not selling around the 1050 level, if we see any further strength in here, I mean, yen's pretty much doing nothing at the moment. Obviously, we had the dreadful events over the weekend in London here, just a few miles from me, and on the bridge that I walk across regularly, the London Bridge. But you know, you see gold's hit a bit over the weekend. Not a great deal of activity going on in the yen, which is, you know, generally a safe haven play. But you know, still waiting to see how the markets pan out this morning. But anyway, looking to sell dollar potentially as we approach the 1100, 11 handle, 1120, something like that. So this is my level of resistance to the upside. It's basically, it's a 50% pullback from the move we've had from Friday. This move from Friday is basically low or range, high, low. 50% of that range pulls you back in exactly at that round number, 1150. So I'm looking at that one as a target. Now, of course, as I mentioned on Friday, if you take a 1618 extension level from this consolidation range on the dollar yen, it pulls you down to 109.50. So this is my next target, certainly on the dollar yen to the downside. If you pull it out to the 4 hour, I just want to take you back a little bit here. Yeah, just taking this back out. So the 109.50, if you go to the left of the chart here, it's also a level here that was being respected back at the end of April. So 109.50 level, you'll be hearing me talk about this quite a lot now, I think, over the next couple of weeks. This is the target, or a couple of days, weeks, whatever, but this is my target to the downside. I think, you know, the dollar really is, you know, is going to struggle to push back up to the 112 handle, so I think the bias is to play this to the downside. So that's the target I'm targeting, 109.50 level, which is basically almost just above the base of this big move we had after the French. 109.60 was the low there. So 109.50 to 109.60 area is my target, which again happens to be the 1618 extension level from this consolidation area that we've seen recently. So you put that on your charts, put it on your notepads, put it on your whiteboard. I'm going to be talking about the 109.50 level and cracking open a champagne when we hit. Yeah, Qatar as well, obviously the old Middle East crisis going up there, that's helping oil prices, it's helping it's helping gold prices as well. So all those uncertainties, Potter, all weighing on the strength of the safe haven plays. What's the deal with the pound yen shooting down a little? Shooting down a little. Well, I mean, you had there's no real opinion polls over the weekend that was only significant because we had a dreadful terrorist attack here, which certainly, I mean, the market hasn't reacted too much on the British pound, but it's certainly weighing on it, certainly. But of course, the elections are on Thursday, and that's what basically we were centering around. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, the opinion polls, the shock horror of the 21% lead in the polls now to 5% lead. I think that's in the market. You know, we know that the pound is not going to be, running down to the downside until we actually have the election results. That's in the market now. That's old news. I don't think you can start running the pound down low on the back of opinion polls now. You just now really have to wait for the elections. If anything, the bias is to the upside on that. Just want to have a quick look. While I'm talking about the dollar before I get on to the pound, is the euro and the euro against the dollar and the Canadian against the dollar. Okay, so let's have a look at the euro dollar. Okay, so I haven't, full disclaimer, I haven't taken the trade yet this morning in dollar, but it is my bias. Looking for a pullback into 1250 area. Now it's not far away from here now. When I started looking at this a few hours ago, it was further away, but it's now coming back into it. So this is my next level, which is a 50% move from the move from yesterday, the non-farm payroll move. So I want to see that retrace back into 50% of that move, which takes you straight back into this old level of resistance, now level of support. So I'm not going to start looking to get long this until we get back in here. Target to the upside, first target is the 13 handle, which is the spike from the Trump spike, actually, the Trump candle spike on the daily. Back up at here from November, so this is like the 8th, 7 month highs. Took you in at literally at 1300, and the target above there, which I'm also eyeing is up here at 1335 area, which is basically the 1618 extension as well from that consolidation area. Okay, so that's euro dollar, looking to possibly get along that. ECB again, you know, there's talks to the market about tapering, forward guidance coming out of the ECB. It's only so long that they can hang back on their dovishness. You know, we're still seeing some good numbers coming out of there. There's going to have to be some normalisation at some point. You know, Draghi's doing his very best to not to stoke up this fire, but there's only so much they can do. The market's basically waiting for it. You know, bias for these two pairs, normalisation of one, missing forward guidance on the other. Bias has got to be continuation of this nice trend to the upside that you've been seeing for a while now, since certainly even if you take it out to the daily, you know, back from basically the beginning of the year, the beginning of December, when we were trading at around 103. One of our good friends has been selling from 103, if I'm not mistaken. So this trend looking to continue it for the upside, looking to buy it on pullbacks for a test of the 13 handle. So that might pan out today as dollar see some weakness coming in, and some euro regaining some strength. Just have a quick look at the dollar CAD. Now, dollar CAD might be a time start getting long dollar CAD. We're coming into this like a trend line support here. This is the 1 hour. You know, we've still seeing creating higher, the higher highs, the higher lows from last week. Nice little trend line channel to the upside here, and dollar, Canadian dollar, catching a bid on the oil prices, moving higher today on the back of the Qatar and Middle East antics. Canadian dollar likes to see oil prices push higher. Doesn't really. I mean, obviously, it's a proxy for oil prices, but it reacts stronger to high oil prices or moving momentum to the upside on high oil prices than it does on the downside. And obviously, the bid now, or the thought process, is that the oil prices could find themselves a little bit of bid coming out of that. And so I'm possibly looking at this pair as well. Also, if you look on the strength meter, it is the second strongest currency behind the Australian, would you believe, which is just on the back of those one set of strong numbers. Odd, to say the least. But it's it's moving. But the Canadian dollar is moving now with some impetus to the upside. So looking at possibly dollar CAD. Right, let's have a quick look at the pound. Fortunately, I'll be on in a couple of hours on the stream again, but I've got to shoot off in about 15 minutes for a school run. So I'm just going to have a quick scan of the pound, a quick look at the chat, and then I'll leave you to get on with the open. It just opened a couple of minutes ago. Still liking euro pound, still long this, ran into the weekend. Going to be running it up to 88.40, another 90 pips to the upside. We'll see my first take a profit target on here, so I'm quite a bit of still on my hands on this one. Still not moving to break even, although I'm now maybe I'm not moving to break even because I think this is still a good buy level where I'm in. If we do get snapped back, then this is the level I'll be looking to buy it. So I'm not going to start getting out of a position that I'm in. I still think this has got the upward momentum to the upside, certainly on the charts. That's the 1 day. If you look at the intraday charts, it's been a great trending market for the trend continuation traders. Buying pullbacks into previous resistance has worked very well. And if you look here now, I mean, we're basically coming back into 87.50, another level. So if you're not long euro pound, this is maybe one for the back book. In terms of pound itself, I'm not a seller really of pound at the moment in terms of new positions, and in terms against other currencies. I think pound has got the election play, and the negativity. I mean, just being on the streets here in the UK, it's very, very likely that she's going to come back with an increased majority, despite what the opinion polls are saying. You know, and I think the opinion polls got it massively wrong last time out, and I think they're going to get it massively wrong this time out. And I think you are going to see, you know, back up there at 10-15% lead, which will come back with a 50-60% seat majority in the House, which is very comfortable for the objective of getting a more of an ease in her, not ease, but make the Brexit negotiations somewhat less problematic with having to bow down to the right wing of the party. So I think that's mission accomplished. So I think you're going to see a possible, rally of the pound. I like possibly buying pound against the US dollar today. In fact, we were going to look at that. Did I look at that? I didn't. Let's have a look at pound dollar. You know, if weakness materialises in the US and some positive vibes continue in the UK, then pound dollar, you know, on Thursday, Friday morning. Now I'll be streaming live over the election. It comes out at 10 o'clock GMT or British Summer Time. That's when you have the exit poll, which is pretty accurate normally. It was accurate to the sake of a few seats last time. So we'll be streaming live over that. So this could easily, you know, pop up a couple of 100 points to the upside. You know, and you know, if you ask people what the thought of a Labour government would be, I mean, a lot of the analysts are pretty undecided. I mean, Labour government could be very bullish for the pound as interest rates have to start rising. So you know, it's pretty unclear really what a pound. I mean, initially the pound would have a, you know, it would rock the financial markets because of the uncertainty. But in months to come, I mean, you might find the pound, you know, interest rates moving to the upside, and this could obviously, you know, push the pound higher. But over the announcement, I mean, over the election announcement, 130, one certainly could be tested. You know, we saw sellers coming in certainly at 130.50. I know the bank sellers are up there still at 130, but we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts really above the 130. You know, a strong election result will certainly see us back up there. So that's 150 points, 200 points to the upside just on that election result. So my bias is still looking at playing this to the upside. So if you can get two currencies working for you, pound strength, dollar weakness, this possibly could be the pair to be trading the pound against this week. If the dollar continues to grind lower. Not really too inspired to trade the pound yen at the moment. Looking for sort of directions at the moment. Yen sort of pretty flat. Pound yen was our little favourite pair last week. Sort of like sideways trading from Friday. You know, sort of almost in the middle of Friday's range. You know, the bias has been to the downside, but I think this is all sort of like the election concerns. This is the momentum I think is more powerful than this. You know, so not the charts tell you you've got to sell it. We're below the 4-hour moving averages. We're below the we're below the 1-hour moving averages. So the bias tells you to sell it, but I think if you go out further, this longer trend to the upside, I think, really has a chance to prevail in pounds. So. Anyway, I'm staying on my hands on that. I'm sitting on my hands on the pound yen at the moment. I want to see some more direction coming out of that. So I've got euro, dollar, pound euro on. I've got the Aussie yen trade still on. This is one that's going to get me, unfortunately, twice. Oh, hang on. This is a spread trade. I mean, when we closed on Friday when I wasn't watching it, closed lower than traded lower than my take profit target, but I wasn't taken out. My take profit target is at 81.90, and I see the low here 81.85. So I'm going to be checking that out in a minute. It could have been the spread widening out at. But anyway, my take profit target's been here at 81.90. Touched it twice early on in the week, and 3 times, and now pushing up to break even. Been flat. I mean, I'm not advocating you get into this trade at the moment. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it looks like the spread. Yeah, spread on the open. Yeah. Unfortunate as it may be. An Asian session spread. Yeah, that's what it was. So it didn't trade. Yeah, I'm not advocating getting into this. I mean, you know, my buy is still short Aussie, but with the RBA coming out now, I mean, it's just a few hours to go. I think you need to see some what's happening there. We made some good money on shorting Aussie last week. I still think that's the bias for me. I'm not, I'm not changing my line of thought on that. It's still a weak currency across the board. If you go out to the 1 hour, try the 1 day on the meter. It's still down there. With the British pound as well. I thought the pound was going to be higher than that. And Aussie down, and US dollar down there as well. It's the daily 4 hour. 4 hours the Aussies put a bit on. Yeah, I believe in Oz out of it, leaving the Aussie away from it at the moment. Euro Oz, I would have been stopped at that this morning. Had a Euro Oz trade in there as well, a long Euro Oz. That's excuse me. Would have stopped me out as well. Last price didn't move from the week close for hours. Okay, yeah. Right, sorry, FX trend setter. Andrew, is there any way you can post your indicator as a separate tab? I'm going to look into this FX. I had this coded for me, well before I joined Forex Signals. I had it done maybe 7 or 8 years ago. It's been my sort of like my crutch for the last 7 or 8 years. I know they're all available. You can get them on the internet. I'm sure other versions of them. I wasn't really wanting to see this sort of appearing on all the chat forums in a couple of months' time. That's why I wanted to lock it into brokers, so that we don't have, I don't just want to be. I'm not. It's not my job to start giving out indicators and all that. That's not what I'm into. So that's why we locked it to a couple of brokers, and of course, and of course, it cost me money to get it done and tuned and so forth. So it wasn't something I was going to just give away and whatever. But I'll look at it. Maybe I can look it into another couple of brokers as well, just so that it doesn't end up around the around all the forums and people pinging me up saying they don't like it and it's and what have you. It's not what I don't want to get involved in all that. But we'll see if I can log it into another broker that you might possibly be able to use. FX trend setter. Right, okay, so look, I'm going to be on later, once we get some sort of clear direction of where we're going on the markets at the moment. I'm looking just basically at US dollar weakness at the moment. I'm not getting too inspired with this strength here. Ordinarily it is a currency you think, oh, hang on, let's look into this. Maybe we should get behind some strength here. But it's on the back of. Well, I think it's a profit taking in here ahead of the RBA, because the Aussie has been really weak over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm just not going to get too. I don't want to get caught out with this at the moment. So I'm just going to keep off this Aussie. But this is certainly on the radar. And of course, you've got the RBA coming out. So I just want to see how prices settle down and over the next couple of hours. I'll be back on the stream a couple of times, 2 or 3 times today, just having a look for Monday. But it's a bit of a. Going to be a bit of a slow start to what could be a pretty turbulent week for all currency pairs. You've got lots going on, and you've got lots going on in the euro with ECB, the US dollar with Comey, and aftermath of the NFP. You've got the UK, you've got the Japanese yen with safe haven flows. You've got the Canadian dollar with oil prices and catching a bid there, and you've got the Aussie with RBA. So there's a lot going on individually this week with all the different currencies. So it should be quite a good pipping week. There should be some good markets to trade here. So we just need to make sure we get on the right trend, the right strength against the weakness, and ride it and keep playing it, and buying into support, setting into resistance on a trend. So that's basically what I'm going to be looking to do, like I do every week. We'll see if we can make some pips. Not trading it, but this is one we made last. I'll end up with just a quick look at Aussie New Zealand. These are my short entries from last week, almost back up at short entry now. This is last week's numbers, so I haven't. Well, no, it might even still be relevant, really. This is my short from last week where we took profits on, and we're back up into my previous short entry, which I'm going to leave these little labels in because I think these are still valid. This is the 1 hour. It's a jolly good pullback on the back of the numbers, but it's coming into. If I just narrow this, it's coming into. It's a good pullback. Gosh, what's the pullback from here? So if we look at this pullback from here. So what I've done here, I'm taking just using the fib tool from, obviously you had this downward momentum move, it stalled, rallied, and then rolled back over. So where we rallied to, I'm taking the fib tool down to the low, looking at the 50% of this move, takes you into exactly this short entry that I've had penciled in before, 104.78. So it's a big move. It's also the level of previous consolidation for a day and a bit. Previous resistance. Respecting here again. We're above the moving averages, but Aussie New Zealand. Hello, coming out now. I'm getting a call just like that guy from the BBC News as his kid walks in behind you. I'm having that happening to me now. So I'll jump off. But Aussie New Zealand coming in at 104.80 is 50% pullback. So looking at that as well. Now, as I say, I'm not trading just at the moment Aussie, but it is a level should you wish to take a. Just if you want to take a thought on that. Right, chaps, I'll be back online later. So keep the chats coming, and I'll speak to you in. And I've got to do the school run. I'll be back in about 30 minutes from now. Speak to you soon. Good luck.